We're live.
All right, everyone, welcome to Everything EOS, the longest running EOS podcast.
Oh my God, get that energy. I mean, I'm used to Rob. Oh my
Sorry.
God.
This is my way, Zach.
All right, let's continue.
Everything we say here is not financial advice, so always do your own research or get wrecked as usual. Shout out to everybody watching live. Hit those likes, hit the like button, or subscribe if you like our content and want to see more of it. So Zach, it's been 38 days. It's going to be 38 days from now when Voice launches. What do you think of that?
I don't know, man. I think we got to go back to that intro. I think people are used to this energy. I'm trying to learn here. This is like everyone watching. We haven't done a show in almost a week now. We did last Wednesday's episode with Rob. That was Rob's last episode for the foreseeable future. He didn't guarantee us anything for a future episode. Adriana, the new CEO of Cypherglass, her and I begged him to do a Voice episode when Voice launches. We will see if that happens. But tonight or today, depending on where you're at, I'm here with James Mart.
What's up?
This is your second time on the show. You've been a bit of an EOS IO celebrity lately. So you were on EOS Radio recently. We had you on some dappiness stuff a while ago, and then you put out a pretty interesting article about thinking bigger about EOS and EOSIO that we'll get into in a little bit here.
Indeed.
But I guess we could jump into our little script here, huh? So 38 days until Voice launches.
Yeah.
And so the other big date. So we all know about Voice. We're all looking forward to Voice. But when researching this episode, I was like, man, Block One, when did they say they were going to vote? Because we all kind of made a joke about it, whenever they had that governance article. It's been 55 days since the blog article came out where Block One said that they're going to begin voting for EOS public blockchain upgrades.
Yeah, it's been a while, but in their defense, they have been talking about voting, so it's not like they're doing nothing. So it actually almost seems like, from what they've said, they're not going to just directly vote, which is what I think a lot of people thought when they originally said something about it. But they are talking a lot about the possibility for a proxy or having some sort of system that we can use and potentially contribute to or participate in, which will allocate the vote weight of all of the Block One tokens. So we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but yeah, so as Zach is sharing on the screen right now, Brendan said EOS is simple. Token holders continually vote for producers and the majority wins. Those that like the outcome are happy, and those that don't do one of two things. A, build a proxy to compete, or B, bitch. They complain that EOS is centralized and broken because they don't agree with the outcome. So Brendan said that they're focused on A, which is good news. And
build a proxy to compete, though. What do you think that means? What's a Block One proxy? Because I think someone commented. I don't have the whole tweet pulled up right now. I just have it on this little slide, so I don't have the context. But I do remember someone was like, "Why don't you do Voice?" Use Voice ID and do one person, one vote, which right. I've seen people talk about before. And he said no to that. He said that's not what they have in mind for the immediate future. So I forget what his answer was. Yeah. But if it's not that, what could it be?
They haven't released many details about it. I don't know what it is. All we can say is that they're planning some sort of solution for becoming involved in the elections that happen on EOS. It involves a proxy. Brendan said something at one point where we haven't fully utilized the proxy system. I don't have the tweet up in front of me, but I recall him saying something. I think it was on Twitter. He mentioned we're not yet fully utilizing the proxy system. So I think there's something that they have up their sleeve here that we're not catching on to, but it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. I just want to hear more details about it.
Do you expect them to vote before the Voice launch?
No. I have no idea, but I expect that they will come out with some system in 2020, and that's all I would be willing to say.
I'll make this Voice prediction. Someone in the chat said, dude, they're messing things up by letting time pass, because the tweet we just pulled up was from December 28th. Yeah, I probably should have pulled that up with Adriana and Rob, but we missed it last week, so we're going to get it today. The transition here was basically that EOS Nation did exactly what Brendan Bloomer says here, where you create a proxy. You can complain. So like there's a lot of Western BPs that have fallen out of very far out of the top 21. Some of them out of even paid positions. We see a lot of splintering of the main net. We see a lot of complaining about the main net. And yes, there's issues, but one of the most beautiful things about DPoS is that it's continuously, it's flexible, can continuously being upgraded. The EOS we have today is not the EOS we'll have tomorrow. It's not the EOS we'll have in a year. It's definitely not the EOS we'll have in 10 years. So I think this kind of ties in. I think we should just skip topics, man. I think this leads right into your topic of thinking bigger about EOS.
Well, I hang on. Before we get there, we should talk more about EOS Nation, because they like, do you have the Telegram chats that you can bring up for people? Because I mean, Eve said he dropped some really interesting
about his
WPS
stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go in our order. So I apologize. James and I don't have the same moving and grooving that Rob and I did. We're gonna get this though. We'll get this. Like,
oh heck,
if you go back and listen to episode 1 of Everything EOS, and it's not even on this channel, it's on the Layer 1 podcast channel. So everyone who's been watching the Layer 1 podcast, shout out to those guys. They've been doing an awesome job. But that is actually the original home of Everything EOS. That's where episode 1 lives, because that is the old ICO alert channel.
Okay, yeah, ICO alert. I was gonna say that's where I think first heard you guys. The ICO alert channel.
But anyway, let's get out of this topic here. We don't want to talk about voting. We want to talk about the proxy, and then we want to bring up the WPS. So I mentioned it last week, just as an idea, that EOS Nation has recently brought up an old idea. EOS Nation brought up the idea of a WPS coming to the EOS mainnet. And I haven't seen anyone else talking about it. And I'll share my screen here as part of the conversation that came up in the Everything EOS Telegram channel at t.me/everything_EOS. If you want to join the conversation, that's where it's at. But that's where this chat came from. You want to walk through it?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Kenny was joking about asking Saeed Jaffrey from EOS Cafe Block to build a WPS real quick. But Eves chimed in and said basically they have a team working on a WPS. So it's for the EOS mainnet, and skip to the next slide. So he gave us some really interesting details. We don't know too much about it, but he's basically saying, we used what we learned by designing, building, and running the boss, a boss node, which is a separate sidechain on EOSIO, in a live environment with real funds for 8 months, and then we adapted. It doesn't use inflation to fund the WPS, which is interesting, and it's going to use the accumulated names and RAM fee funds. So Zach, you want to explain what that means?
Well, let me jump to the top, because we do have listeners on iTunes. So I just want to kind of walk through what happened. So EOS Writer was in the channel, and he asked with voice ID, he asked Saeed Jaffrey to basically build a WPS. And then Eve jumped in and laughed his ass off, he said he already built it. And he brought up that he's been working on it since the EOS community conference in where was it? In Rio, Brazil?
Yeah,
the EOS community conference. There's a video online of the what do you even call it? Breakout groups, I think they did at the conference. They walked through this idea, and EOS Nation built a WPS before. They built the BOS WPS, as James said. So this isn't even their first time building it. It's just an idea. And I think they're going to be publishing it soon. And what's interesting about it is that they're working with Attic Lab to basically have the code ready before they propose it. Like we've talked about a WPS till we're blue in the face. We talked about it a lot more last year, but it's an idea that kind of went by the wayside. Mostly, I think, because Block One, isn't that what happened? Didn't Block One put their foot down and they're like, no. They recommended
that we don't use the WPS because we can't really like whales are going to use it for their own benefit or something. Or that was the big fear in the EOS community, was that we didn't have a good enough system yet for delegating where those funds go to.
That is a fear though. So
absolutely.
It says, let me pull the screen share back up, and I'll read Eve's quote here. He says, there are significant differences with WPS 1.0 that was presented a while back. Everything is on chain, all smart contracts, all transparent, no voted in committee, stake weight voting integration, no referendum style, et cetera, et cetera. And the pilot isn't asking for 1 million EOS, nowhere even close. So I don't know what amount of funding they're going to ask for with this, but we do know the funding source that they have in mind. And as James mentioned, it's the accumulated EOSIO RAM fees and or the EOSIO.names fees. Now, what this means is we have these two pools of funds that are being targeted into the REX currently. So the REX is an accumulation of the rental fees from the rental markets. If you want to rent EOS, you're basically paying your rental fees into the REX, and it gets distributed to all REX stakers. Everyone who purchases a name, like a name suffix, like EOS name service has, like .hodl or whatever, they have one daily auction where everyone bids against each other for that, and the bids of that auction go into the REX. And then the third thing is there's a 0.5%, I think it's a 0.5% trading fee on all RAM trades. You always, the buyer and the seller both take a 0.5% fee on every trade. And all of that's directed into REX. But the REX wasn't even available until last May. So until May, like all of these funds were just accumulating in these two accounts, EOSIO.names and EOSIO. What's the other one? REX fees, I think. RAM fees. My bad. And they have an accumulation of. Do you have the thing in front of you that says how many tokens are in there?
No, I don't. But so all the fees were going towards these accounts, and now they're going towards REX. So we have a big pool of money in these accounts.
Yeah. So ever since REX turned on the faucet, so to speak, and started funneling these funds into REX, these two accounts have stopped accumulating funds. They weren't created from inflation. They have nothing to do with inflation. So it's not like we're adding to the 1% inflation that the BPs are already taking. This isn't even the this EOSIO savings fund where the 4% of inflation goes. These are funds that either came out of trading fees or were won for like name auctions. So it's not adding inflation to the system, which I'm really happy to see. And he straight up called out that it's not even going to be close to 1 million EOS. So if it's not 1 million EOS, let's say it's a 500,000 EOS, which what's EOS even worth today? Like 250, 260, something?
It's a significant chunk of change to work with.
I was going to say it's not in the big picture. It's not a tiny percentage of the market cap, tiny percentage of the daily trade volume.
Yeah.
It works out to, even at a 500,000 EOS, it would work out to what, like less than $2 million for an entire year.
Yeah, so it's significant for getting projects to work, and maybe we use it for auditing smart contracts and the types of services that we need to pay developers to do and pay people to do. And right now there's no WPS, there's no worker proposal system that we can use to fund these projects. So I think it's a great initiative, and there's the funds there that we can use. And like Zach said, in the grand scheme of things, it's actually not that much money, so it's fairly low risk. But it's significant for all the teams that need money. So I am looking forward to hearing more details about that.
So I'll share 2 links in the chat. Hold on, let me pop up my screen again. So there's these 2 videos, and I know most people in the community haven't watched it because there's only 22 views on the one, and then there's 41 views on the other. Like Eve basically walks through what this WPS is going to look like. And this is all from the EOS community conference. A lot of people might even have been at the community conference and been part of this. But I think there is some variations to the idea from what was discussed at the community conference. But I'll share these 2 links in the live chat now, and then I'll share them in the description after we get off of here. But I highly recommend people watch those to get an idea of what we're talking about here. And I would love to have more conversation about this. As a matter of fact, I will announce 2 of my guests that I'll be having on the show later this week. I'll be having Eve from EOS Nation and Benny Hakak from LiquidApps. So we'll be talking about many different subjects: interoperability, what's next for EOS, what's next for dapp network, and also this WPS, what Eve's been able to do with the rankings on EOS Nation, on the mainnet, the other chains they're running on, all kinds of stuff. So that'll be coming out probably on Friday. I don't think it'll be live, so expect that on Friday. But for today, we have some more stuff to cover. I think the next topic on our list here is you, big boy.
All right.
Let me get this up on the screen here. So actually the next on the list is the Rex update. I put on the thumbnail that we have to talk about the Rex. Okay. So yes, we haven't done a show in a while. I apologize. I have been a little bit sick, and it was also the holidays, you know. And I spent a lot of time with my wife and family, enjoyed the time off. We did not do a show over the weekend. So we missed the Rex update. The Rex is updated. It is live. Everyone probably knows about this already, but the big updates are there's 12-hour buckets to the Rex. So there's no like windfall of funds hitting Rex stakers whenever the contracts become due, which mostly happens on 2 big days of the month at this point. So it's to help smooth out that. And then the other difference is the buffer went from 20% down to 10%. And the Rex is unlocked right now. We're at about 79% capacity, and it doesn't really look like it's going to lock up again. Now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about you, James. I'm going to pull up your article. So you're a famous author. So first you were published on the Dappiness blog, and then EOS Raider syndicated you, and that's the site I'll be sharing the screen from. So shout out to the EOS Raider for republishing James' article here. But why don't you give an overview of what this article talks about, and then I'll scroll through it as you go, then we'll discuss.
Okay, sure. So so my disclaimer before I talk about this is like the perspective that this article describes is an idea that some people have. They think it's a viable model for some future of EOSIO, how it's going to work. And I happen to be one of those people. So I didn't make this up. That's my disclaimer. So the point of the article is to broaden your perspective about what the future for EOSIO is. It has implications for the EOS mainnet, but it's in particular just about the EOSIO software. So for those who don't know, EOSIO is the software that's used to launch EOS. EOS was the first public blockchain launched with the EOSIO software that Block One made. And they continue to build. But EOSIO is actually just software that is used for launching applications, like period. Not dapps, not decentralized applications, which is one type of application, but just applications. So the article goes into more detail about it, but if you think about the architecture of a modern application, you have to have like a database, and you have some business logic which updates the database, and you have like a front end, and that's a simplified understanding of what an application is. And either today or in the near future, we can expect that EOSIO can be used to manage all 3 components of applications. And we know that not only from like Dan's original vision and the videos he put out back in like 2017 about what he thought the future of EOS was, but we also know that from the more recently released strategic vision that Block One has gifted us with. So if you look at that, you can get a picture of where this is all heading, and you can see that EOSIO hopefully is going to be used as the tooling that app developers will use to launch just applications, all of them. So what does that mean?
Let me know where you want me to be in the article too, man. I'm scrolling around here.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just going to summarize the article. You can leave it on like the picture of the model view controller, so people have more of an idea in case I use those terms. Where the model is the database, the view is the front end, the controller is the business logic, or like in EOSIO, it's the smart contracts that update the state. EOSIO, hopefully one day, an app developer goes to build an application, and instead of going for a MySQL database, and they have their Node.js, which runs on the server somewhere to update their MySQL database, instead of and all that, they might grab EOSIO as their solution, their software package, which actually manages all the components that they need for their application. And the reason they're going to do that is because EOSIO is going to be faster than a traditional database and more seamlessly integrate with the public blockchain or any EOSIO public blockchain. So if they want things like if they want to post like small hashes onto the mainnet for an immutable public ledger so that their application is more auditable, so they can give security benefits to their customers, or if they want to utilize the EOS or some public blockchain's account system, they can do that, or the permission system, which is super flexible and amazing in EOSIO. Or if they just need like a financial settlement or token settlement layer, all of these things, these are the services, that's the value of the public blockchain. And if you're creating your app and you want a fast blockchain, or a fast database, which can easily integrate with all of these decentralized services that actually just add value to your own product as a business, you very well may reach into your toolkit and pull out EOSIO instead of the traditional application development tech stack. So that's the vision that the article presents. You can read the article to get some more details. It doesn't go into crazy detail. It's still supposed to be just a high level article for people to understand one possible future. But does that make sense, Zach? That's the perspective I want to present.
So you think this is totally going to disrupt, and I know disrupt such an overused word, but like the MVC framework, like architecture, like you think MVC like over a long enough time frame will kind of be an old way of developing software potentially.
So MVC, model view controller, is what Zach's referring to. That's not going to go anywhere. That's ways that's what developers use, or application developers use to talk about the various components of an application. So that's going to stay the same, but what's going to change is how they manage the model and the view and the controller. And today you can already manage largely the model and the controller with EOSIO. You can't really manage the view so well because there's not large file storage. You need like the dapp network to do something like that, because but we know from like in the article, you see I posted a screenshot of the strategic vision where they're talking about file storage becoming a native piece of EOSIO blockchains. And so when you have that, you can all of a sudden also have views. I think it's the pink one, explore creating decentralized file systems to enable applications to host files accessible by any web browser. So that goal that Block One has of creating that decentralized file system is what will enable something like the view to be managed also by an instance of EOSIO. So in summary, MVC not going anywhere, but the tooling used to create your app, which manages M, model, V, view, and C controller, could very well be EOSIO instead of traditional tech stack.
So what makes you an expert, James? What is your day job? Let's just remind everyone. What have you been building on EOSIO lately?
So I have 5 years of experience about in the semiconductor industry. So I wrote C++ for semiconductor assembly machines, which are like giant machines that are bigger than I am that assemble computer chips, basically, or integrated circuits. And so that's my background. But I've also done some work in the app development space. So I've built mobile apps, and right now I'm working on a couple things in the EOS space, some smart contracts and some libraries to help developers. So that's the perspective I'm coming at EOS with. I'm looking at like the future of what app development will look like, actually just for my own purposes, because I'm going to want to use the EOSIO tooling to launch my own applications. So that's the perspective I come from, and that's so that's why I see it going in this direction.
How's your what do you call your library? Your sex library?
My Sext library, yeah.
Sext.
It's not in its full like glory yet. It's in version 0. That stands for contract extensions for the people who have asked me. I realized in the last episode I didn't even mention what it stands for, but it's contract extensions, abbreviated Sext, and it's also a joke because it's the STD of smart contract development, which is a C++ joke. When people use the standard library in C++, it's STD. Anyways, yeah, so that's the background there. But what do you think about that perspective, Zach? Like, does that make sense to you? I think it's under talked about. It's people don't talk about it or think about it that much. And I think it's not what we all originally thought when we were thinking about
EOS and EOSIO. I think the biggest difficulty is going to be like, how do you take a traditional software developer and make it like better and easier? And like, I know all the good features, like making it more secure, making it more transparent, more auditable. Like, we understand those. But if you just tell a developer those are like all the perks, they're gonna be like, my stuff's secure enough, like it's good enough. Like, it has to be so much better than what they were using before for them to actually make that change. And I think it's going to be a very difficult thing to do. But I think with teams like Block One, teams like LiquidApps having that same goal, and I know there's other teams out there all with the same goal of like breaking down the barriers and layers of friction to actually start developing on this with better tools, right? And better documentation, especially as well.
Yeah,
I think documentation is going to be one of the biggest drivers of this. I think without, what are you reading something?
No, well, I was laughing a little bit. I have to give a shout out to Justin Buck as like the one viewer who understood my C++ joke. So what's up, Justin?
I don't have the live chat up, or at least not in front of me at the moment. But yeah, I think documentation is going to be super important. And I think everyone knows that. I think Block One's doing a great job with their documentation. I've heard rumors that they're doing like more like, I don't want to say community driven, but some sort of upgrade to their portal. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's supposed to get better in some way. I have no other details that I could explain without messing it up.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a transition that happens overnight. And also, this is a transition that may not happen at all. It may not happen with EOSIO. But I think that Web 3.0, whatever that magical word means to you, I think that's the direction we're heading. I think we're heading to a place where applications seamlessly talk to blockchains. And so here's a question that I can already hear speculators screaming or crying. And that's like, how does that model that I just described drive value back to the EOS token? And
tell me.
Yeah. So first of all, I won't. Here's what I have to say to those people. I'll say that the EOS public blockchain is valuable. It has value because of the services that it provides and the ease with which app developers can get stuff like better security and an account system and permissions management and financial settlement and maybe in the future subscriptions and all the other services that can be reused on a public blockchain. And that's what makes it valuable. Now, how that value translates back to the price of the EOS token, I will not speculate on, and that's for you, speculator, to research. You have to look at what all of those services are that I just mentioned and the ones I didn't mention and say, like, look into them. Do they require EOS tokens to use? And if they do, how much? And who is buying them? Is it the dapp developer? Is it the end user? And is this something that is just the state of EOS today, or is it some fundamental property that's never going to change? And you do your own research on those things, and you can come to some opinion about whether you think that the value of the EOS token is going to increase or decrease, but that's on you. And like, yeah, welcome to the land of speculation where you're investing in things you don't understand. It's not the appropriate question to ask, because what Block One is focused on is not pumping the EOS price. They're focused on creating solutions that people need to build apps that have better security and have a better model for people to interact with digital applications. So that's my axe that I have now ground.
So I think we got to remind everyone, we're not financial advisors. Don't get yourself wrecked.
Yeah, that's actually explicitly not financial advice. I'm trying to very explicitly say, do your own research if you care about speculation, but the blockchain has value. And that's actually not speculation, because I just know as an app developer that I find value in the things that the EOS blockchain provides. So yeah, definitely not financial advice.
I'm trying to find this article. Volatile. All right. I was going to talk about this later on, but let me startups. I can't find the right line, but did you check out the new Nakamoto website over the weekend that launched?
Yeah, I did see someone had posted that on Twitter, and I got a look at one of the articles about the future of Bitcoin or something.
Yeah, Miles Snyder shared it the other day.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, dude, that article was written by the guy who launched the site. So this guy here, I'm not even Balaji. I always mess up his name. He's the former CTO of Coinbase. Most people probably remember him from B1 June. Hold on, let me pull up a picture of him. You guys might remember him here from B1 June. This guy right here, the guy with his hands in his pockets. He was kind of a meme if you're at B1 June, but he's actually one of the smartest people in the space. He's a great thought leader. I highly recommend following him on Twitter. But he launched this new site over on Friday to kick off the new year. And all of the contributors so far, it's like a who's who in crypto. It's like the most legendary list of authors I've ever seen. Like if you go to, so let's just look at the most recent articles. Brian Armstrong, Balaji Srinivasan. I always mess up his name, Balaji. But we were talking about volatility, and this is such a good article about how Bitcoin. It's it kind of compares it to startups. Like with a startup, how you have that huge failure rate with a startup, you have a chance of losing everything, and how with Bitcoin you have cycles. Basically every time the market crashes, it's it could be a new startup. You have new blood coming in, and it's almost like a new market. I'm messing this up so bad. I didn't plan to talk about this specific article here, but volatile. Startups are volatile. Many startups will fail. Bankruptcies are common. I'm gonna mess this up, man. I shouldn't have even brought this up. But I did want to point out the one reason I did want to bring up this site is because one, I am looking forward to all of these contributors. Let me pull it back up. There's two contributors that you'll probably recognize on here. Oops, that's on the wrong page. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to break down the walls of maximalism here. It's a trusted site because right now there's a lot of noise out there. And what this site's trying to do is kind of separate the signal from noise and just be high signal content. So all of the thought leaders in the space, like the authors of this blog, are all of the people that you see across your screen here. At the top, we got the founder, we got Vitalik, and then the second row, we got Zuki from Zcash, and then Brian Armstrong. Then we have Brendan Bloomer here, who's at really high up here. I don't know if the order means anything. They're not in alphabetical order. I don't know how the order was set on the authors, but we got Brendan Bloomer up there higher than the Winklevoss twins. And then
Brendan Ike, Winklevoss twins. Yeah, there seems I actually didn't see this page, so this is pretty sweet. I had no idea that they had all these authors contributing to Nakamoto.
Co-founder of Bancor and co-founder of LiquidApps, Galia Bernartzi.
Dan Lammer.
Yep. And for these people to be on the website, they basically all had to make a commitment that they're going to contribute content to this blog at some point, in the future. So these are all your authors here. So this is basically going to be, I got to keep scrolling through this. I feel like I'm scrolling through a conference page. But yeah, it's like a who's who in crypto. And I just highly recommend this. It's Nakamoto.com. So I'm not even really going to talk about it too much more. I just wanted to plug it because I think it's amazing. Every single article that has been published has been thought-provoking and amazing. And the other funny part was that whenever it first launched, they had a public Telegram channel with Vitalik in it. All these the Winklevoss twins, all of these who's who in crypto were in this Telegram channel. And it was just the most amazing conversation ever. And then the first 1,000 people joined and it turned into a big troll fest and they had to keep banning people. And then they had to turn the channel into read only. But it was so interesting for those first couple of days, and you could read through the history. Vitalik joined the room and was like, "Hey guys, I'm not used to being in a room full of haters." And then the response was like, oh my God, it's Vitalik. I don't even know what to say. You're just so cool. I can't believe this. It was just hilarious.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's get back on track here. We only have a couple more things to cover. It's been a slow news week. I mean, with the holidays, I guess we can't expect a bunch of stuff to happen. Some of the big news today, though, if I could pull it up, we had LynxChain launch. Have you registered your LynxChain account yet?
I have not. Have you?
I did. I didn't do anything on it. I don't think you could actually do much with the LynxChain. I'll pull up the graphic here and scroll through it for Freddy Boy. But I registered my name a while ago. You're able to reserve your name. You're allowed to get 3 free accounts with each phone number. They have some sort of referral program. I think the only way to earn Lynx tokens right now is to refer people. And they also have a few games going. I think they have 2 games. I don't have any information up on the screen. But I have Zack. Zack is my name on Lynx. If anyone wants to talk, I think it's
Zack.
Just Zack. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's why I wanted to register. I registered on Lynx was because I wanted to get my name. Because like every chain, like I want every chain to succeed. Like whether I agree or disagree with people and how they're doing things. Like Fred's a smart guy. He's got great experience. I hope he onboards some good applications. I'm excited for Chirp, which is Kurt Brigette from Dmail. His app, it's like a almost like a Twitter-like app. Like we'll see what it does after voice launches, or maybe it could even tap into the same database if voice happens to be a protocol, like some of us expect it to possibly be. But I'm excited to see that. So best of luck to Fred and the team at LynxChain. Everyone thinks we just hate those guys. I want them to succeed.
Yeah,
absolutely. I hope people sign up, and I hope James signs up and gets James if no one else beats him to it.
Yeah. I guess I'll just say, like, I think that LynxChain and other chains like LynxChain, there's definitely space for chains like that. In my model for how, or in not my model, in the model that I presented for how I think the future of EOSIO will look. I mean, to think that all of the business logic for an application and all of everything is going to be on the public EOS blockchain and like serverless, right? Like a completely immortal dapp, to use Tal's language, and the entire thing is running on the blockchain, right? That's possible, but that's pretty silly of a model for every single app to be using, because you have 21 different data centers basically processing the exact same application, which might actually be viable and useful for some things and very small services that other apps can use. But for big applications, that's actually not what you want. And it's likely going to be significantly more expensive than on a single data center like AWS or something. So we're going to need federated chains or things like LynxChain or something to host the controller code or whatever for some applications. There's just definitely going to be like a free market of blockchains that people can use to publish parts of their application. And I expect IBC, like inter-blockchain communication between these private chains or federated chains and public blockchains. And I think that's going to be led by the free market as the force of natural selection, which chooses the IBC bridges which are most efficient.
Interoperability is the vision of the dapp network
there you
for
go.
2020. That's exactly what we're trying to do at LiquidApps with the code we push out with Liquid Link, LiquidX. It's to make the future multi-chain. Like all of these chains have a purpose. Like imagine offloading CPU like from your app onto a chain like Lynx or onto a chain like Talos, but your main app is running on the mainnet or your main app's running on Wax, but you offload to these like different cheaper resource chains. And then you're still leaving like all of that state history on that other chain. So it's all like replayable and retraceable and auditable. Or you could maybe do things with like child chains and just spin them up for each thread. And then I don't want to get into too much of this dapp network talk because we have Benny and Eve coming on later this week. And that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on is the interoperability and the like the multi-chain vision and beyond. Right. Because I think whether you're on like Team LiquidApps or not, everyone's working towards this interoperability. We saw earlier this week I think is this week, LynxChain, was that who connected to EOS recently?
Yep.
So we have all of these different projects building these bridges, Kyber network, building a bridge to EOS. Like interoperability is going to be the theme of blockchains moving forward. Like there can't be maximalism. Like everyone's fighting over the same damn users. Like this pie is so small. Like in the big picture, there's like 50 million people in the entire world that know anything about a blockchain, that it's ever touched a blockchain. Like, why are we fighting over those same 50 million users saying like my chain's better than yours? Like we should be fighting together for these ideas. Like, why are we using these chains in the first place? Like, stop being a maximalist. Let's grow the entire pie. And then you could have your same portion slice of pie, and it's going to be much more valuable. It's going to be much like better. And like, it's just, we're thinking too small here.
I'm a fan of decentralization. I think everyone is in this space. I think IBC is clearly the future, and LiquidApps is on the forefront, blazing the trails here for us, which I'm looking forward to seeing what.
I'm looking forward to some of these sister chains connecting with LiquidX. I hope, hopefully we'll see one here soon. It'll be really cool to see it function on other chains. Like what LiquidX does is basically it allows all DSP services to run natively on other EOSIO chains. So one of them, not one of them, there should be a couple. I hope there's going to be a couple. Nothing's like, no permission needs to be granted by any of these chains. Like these contracts will be deployable by anyone in the community. But we should have one pretty soon, which would be cool. And talking about future episodes, we're going to have William Quigley from Wax on in about a week or two. Ooh. So that'll be cool. They have some news they want to share also.
Nice.
Speaking of some of that news, what other news happened? We're kind of running up on time. We had Platin. Platin made a return.
Oh yeah. Did you see that? So Platin was a company that was working on proof of location. For people who don't remember, I think they were actually invested in by the EOS VC team. Isn't that right, Zach?
They had like a grant. So like we always knew about this EOS VC, like the way it used to be, like equity based. But they had some sort of grant program before, but like it wasn't like publicized much. And I think I might be wrong here, but I think they only got like maybe $100,000. It was like some small amount of money that Platin got. But
yeah, I just remember B1 at least wrote about them. They were a big deal. People were excited about Platin. And then for me, it was out of the blue that like this article got posted and Platin was like gone. They were shutting down. And it took me by surprise.
Yeah, because they're like fully featured at the EOS San Francisco hackathon. Like they had these tablets out and they're like demoing the technology, the proof of location technology. Do you want to explain, without like even knowing the nuts and bolts of what's under the hood with Platin, you want to explain like what proof of location like theoretically is?
Yeah, I don't love the name proof of location, but basically like I think at the hackathon, the use case, like the thing that they were doing was, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were like airdropping tokens to people based on whether they had entered the hackathon, right? Something like that. So the idea of proof of location is just putting the location of entities on the blockchain. So you can use the Platin technology to know where people are or prove that somebody entered a certain location, which you can imagine things like geofences, like an airdrop where you're only getting tokens airdropped to you if it's physically raining in your location. I'm just making this up, but like you could just imagine
you need an oracle to do that.
Yeah,
I know where you can get a good oracle. If anyone watching needs oracles, hit me up. We have amazing oracle services on the dapp network. I'd be more than happy to introduce you to them.
Nice.
I'll just keep plugging that away.
Yeah.
Let me give a shout out too. So with Platin, so it's proof of location. So it's like cryptographic proof of your location, because right now all of the location data is basically owned by who? Google.
Whoever owns the satellites.
Whoever owns the satellites and the maps. Platin had some crazy way of like detecting location too, like some sort of like way to mine. Like
I think
I don't understand.
I actually don't know exactly how they did it, but I know location in particular is a challenging problem because even GPS data from satellites can be spoofed pretty easily. And so getting some sort of location solution that you can trust would open up a whole new class of applications that would be valuable.
I'm just going to pull it up. Shout out to Hernan Arbor from EOS Israel. This is where we got the news from. There's no other news. Like if you go to the Platin Twitter page, they haven't made a tweet since what? June
Since they
10th,
quit
October.
in October 28th.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to come of Platin. I hope Platin, like Hernan, I know that you know the LiquidApps team. You're both in Israel. I think Platin would be an amazing service on the dapp network and be available for any application on any blockchain. I think that could be an amazing service.
Yep. And I agree with that, even though I'm not on the LiquidApps team. So I'm not just shilling. I think Platin should be a DSP, truly, so that other apps can plug into that solution using the same mechanism that they're used to with the other services on blockchain.
I forgot. They even had the red carpet rolled out for them at B1 June. Like, look at this. Like Platin had their own like little section set up. So like, you're right. Like this was a complete surprise whenever they kind of said peace. It was a funding issue too, I believe, wasn't it? They said like their funding just.
I actually don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah. The only thing, do you think they could have possibly become maybe competitors to Block One? Like Block One has some sort of proof of location or proof of co-location?
Wow.
As part of Voice ID.
Do you have some reason to think that location is on Block One's horizon?
Yeah, if you go through the Block One patent, the digital identity patent, it does mention how all data is passed through this like uncorruptible piece of software in the secure enclave, and it includes like GPS data, for example.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah. I have no idea. I would imagine. Well, no, I don't want to speculate on it. I have no idea.
I don't either. And just because Block One's doing something doesn't mean like it's not a viable business outside of Block One.
For sure.
Like if that's like vendor lock-in right there. Like that's the opposite of decentralization. So I just want to throw that out there. Just because they're doing something doesn't mean everyone else should stop what they're doing.
Absolutely.
What else?
All right.
We're almost
what do you
up
think,
on
Zach?
an hour. I don't know, man. I
think we should eat some popcorn. What do you think?
All right. Last time you were on here, we finished it off with some EOS popcorn. I think we got about 10 minutes till we hit our 1 hour mark. That's like our hard stop. People don't like watching beyond an hour. Let me pull it up. Shout out to Sean from the EOS Raider and the EOS Raider team in general. Thanks again for publishing James' article. I'll actually pull up their whole site here. And for those who don't know, EOS Popcorn is, what do you even call this? Like the water cooler talk of EOS?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
EOS donation to the bushfires. Let's give this a shout out. So we know the bushfires are going on in Australia. I saw this link shared today, but everyone knows about the wildfires. But if you go to eosraider.io, they'll explain how you can make donations in your cryptocurrency of choice to donate to the Australian bushfires. I
just want to mention, I don't have the picture up, unfortunately, in front of me, but Peter Keay showed me a picture of the bushfires in Australia overlaid on top of like a map of the United States, just so that people in the US can get a sense of scale. How big are these bushfires? It is insane. It is like 2/3 of the United States covered in fire. It's absolutely outrageous. So I think that if you can, the bushfires funds that are online you can donate to right now are really a good use of funds. They're high impact.
It is scary.
Charity.
Like the scale of these fires, man. That is scary.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I think EOS Raider is from Australia. I know he's from Australia. I'm not sure if he's living there currently. I think he is. But yeah, let's go through the popcorn. Let's close out the show. We don't have to go through all of them. Did you have any favorites?
Oh, geez. No, I don't know. I don't have anything ready. There's some good ones though.
Oh, this one. You want to read this one so I'm not being biased?
Yeah, this is hilarious. Tal Muscal, who we have no need to introduce on this show, said, liquid storage is an alpha. We would be happy to merge the improvements to the IPFS layer of the dstore service you mentioned, and even provide a dstore IPFS-based dapp service to be used across sister chains. Can you point me to the code making the IPFS layer faster / more secure? And Douglas Horn said, the improvements that dstore brings are far beyond simple IPFS. The architecture is greatly improved. We're demonstrating these to our beta partners. It's proprietary research gained over the past year. you should do your own research to understand the problems in the service you're proposing. So,
I mean, we talk about interoperability and like working together, and it seemed like that's what Tal was basically trying to do. Like dstore could literally be a service on the dapp network. It could still have its own token in the background, do whatever the hell it's already doing, and just be available to every other blockchain in the world.
Yeah, apparently it's proprietary and Tal needs to DYOR, so that was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm excited for dstore. Honest to God, like I think dstore is going to be a great tool. Like it's a client-facing product. It seems like it. Liquid storage is like a building block to build an application on top of. But it seems like dstore has it'll have like a front end and a way for like users to engage with it. So I'm excited for dstore. Like I don't have any problem with dstore, but the maximalism shit needs to like calm down a little bit. Like work together. Like the future's multi-chain interoperable. I'm telling you guys. Let's continue. When BJ busted. What's this one?
Oh, this one is this one's pretty explicit, but it's hilarious. You just leave that one on the screen and apologize to our iTunes listeners.
Oh, Wilfro is going crazy again on his Market Cap One Twitter, and then Stella jumped in and said, "Why don't you use your personal Twitter?"
And then he just very directly.
Man, we gotta read it. We gotta read. This is so hard to do. We gotta get better at this, James. We gotta end every episode with a popcorn. And EOS Watchdogs just says, "Can't we all just get a bong? Let's just get along, everyone." And then Bonds Manifest will get you set up. Bonds Manifest is the best glass blower in the world.
Absolutely.
Also,
he's also the nicest guy in the world.
He also used to look like Chewbacca when he used to have dreads. I've seen of his in the olden days. Great guy. Shout out to Prospectors. I'll give Bonds the credit for this. Bonds is an amazing front-facing figure for EOSIO with the project Prospectors, which is on Wax. I think they have pretty much the most users of any game right now.
Yeah, Prospectors is huge.
We'll skip making fun of Cardano. We've done that way too many times.
Yeah.
Basically, this guy posted about Cardano, and I have to mention this. I forgot about the article. And then Saeed Jaffrey just jumped in and like corrected him on something. And then the guy blocked him as if Saeed doesn't know what he's doing. And he's just some noob and he's like clueless.
Well, no, somebody actually said that. Somebody said like people like that don't even know their own projects, let alone Cardano, as though Saeed doesn't know EOS, which is hilarious.
I apologize for the people listening on iTunes. This is probably going to come out so bad, but you can definitely check this out on YouTube. Let's hit up like a couple more. We gotta close this out soon. Right. What do we have? Ivan on tech. Let's keep it in EOS. I don't want to bash Taylor, but this one's hilarious. I'll just leave the comic up. I think everyone's seen this before. I'm not even going to read about it. It's Rude Mudcrab. For the people listening, it's Rude Mudcrab making fun of the rebranding of the Telos logo, which is basically a blue circle. So it's a funny comic, I guess. Rude Mudcrab made it. This is like the episode of Old News. What do you think of the new branding?
You know what? I will say it's had everybody talking about it.
Yes. Congrats. So I think it's done its job. It is what it is. It's loud. And it's got everyone talking about it.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it on this show if it were if it weren't a blue ball.
Any attention's good attention, I think. Great job. Oh, this is funny. So the person who did the rebranding of the Talos branding,
I like the commentary of EOS writer. Seems a bit personal.
Patricia Parkinson. She's like blah 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 Ash Oil blah blah blah. And then she's like, disclosure, we used to date.
Yeah. So it was Ash Ora and Patricia Parkinson getting in a little tiff on Twitter, and then comes out they were dating in the past.
Man, this is so hard to talk through.
I know.
Popcorn.
It only works for people watching, so.
That's old news. Making fun of Fred. We don't need to make fun of Fred more. I don't think, hopefully there's no more links or Talos jokes either. Let's keep going. Let's see. Some guy like defending Wax, blah blah. Why is Rude? Is this like the Rude Mudcrab show? Sean, you got to get some new characters here, man. Rude Mudcrab is in every damn slide. The Thomas Cox.
Hey, this wasn't in. This isn't like shitting on anyone, but Vitalik just mentioned that he had signed up for a voice. If you scroll down one more, yeah, right here. So Vitalik said that he has created a beta account on voice.com, which is kind of cool.
We talked about that last week, James. Did you not watch?
I didn't watch. I never watched Everything EOS.
But yeah, that's super bullish. Let's close it out. Rami, Rami needs a hug, everyone. Robbie, like if you need to talk, bro. But let's see. Doc Kruger, blah 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 blah.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Let's close out. But leave the EOS Popcorn article will be in the description.
Let's do a throwback to Persian Zuck. I love the team at Everpedia, but this old Instagram post of the Gucci bags will never be old. Let's close it out, man. This is hard to do. I don't know if we'll be able to keep up the tradition of popcorn. It just doesn't work in conversation as well as it does just reading it. Everyone needs to go check it out. EOSRater.io. Yep. Highly recommend you follow those guys. Great content all the time, especially the weekly EOS Popcorn articles. So I think that's where we say until next time. You got anything that we haven't discussed?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
All right. So even though we're going to change the intro up as we move forward, when you're hosting or anyone else is hosting, they don't have to do the Rob intro.
All right.
But we will keep the way we've always closed, not always, but since we've been closing the show for like the last 8 to 10 months or so.
Sounds good.
How do we do it?
All right. So until next time, am I right? Until next time, I'm James Mart.
And I'm Zack Gall.
And this is Everything EOS.
Go EOS. Hit the thumbs up. If you're on the live stream, leave a comment anyway. If you're watching the archive, leave a comment also. 5-star review on iTunes. See you guys later this week with Eve from EOS Nation and Benny from LiquidApps. We'll see you guys in a couple days.